Good morning to you. I am Mark Sudduth, and here's what's up in the tropics for Wednesday, the 29th of June, 2022. We still have quite the active look to the map this morning with 3 disturbances noted across the Atlantic and into the southern Caribbean and the western Gulf of Mexico. No named storms from any of these systems just yet, but that might change as we progress through the next couple of days. Looking at the 5-day map, here's what everything looks like. The tropical wave there in yellow headed towards the islands. That could bring some beneficial rain. We keep saying that for some of those areas, but they desperately need it. And then potential tropical cyclone number 2 down there hugging the coast of South America, a pretty rare thing to see this time of year. And then finally, our invest area 95L, not far off the Texas coastline. That too could bring some beneficial rain and maybe some minor coastal impacts as that approaches Texas in the next day or so. Looking at this tweet here from TAFB, that is the Tropical Analysis and Forecast Branch, a very, very good graphical representation here of our tropical systems out across the Atlantic. It's still June, and climatology is against any rapid development, but these are some pretty vigorous tropical waves, and you give this another month or so, and I do believe we're going to see a very active time, especially as we get into August, September, and October. All right, in the Eastern Pacific, we do have a new area here that's looking like it's going to develop, but the good news is it's going to move way out into the open Pacific and not be a problem for Mexico whatsoever. All right, so the satellite animation here. Well, there's PTC number 2. That's the biggest story, I think, right now. It is hugging the coast of South America. It's moving pretty fast, too. It's rapidly moving off to the west, and that is hindering its chances of development and closing off that western part of any circulation. But it is bringing some squally conditions to the region, and it'll continue to zip off to the west and might become our next tropical storm. It would be Bonnie if it does so, as long as the system in the Gulf doesn't beat it to that name. And speaking of the Gulf system, you can see it there. A little bit more in the way of convection, and if we zoom in and take a look at it here, yep, there's a little bit more thunderstorm activity, some rotation down there, but strong upper level winds are keeping things from consolidating, and that's a good thing because the water temperatures down this way are quite warm, and so it's just going to be a rainmaker with a few gusty winds, especially in the offshore waters. There's our potential tropical cyclone number 2, fairly well defined overall, but it's moving too fast for it to sort of gather itself, and that's going to keep it from organizing quickly. Again, it might have a chance to do so more once it reaches the southwest Caribbean in the vicinity of southern Nicaragua or maybe even Costa Rica. The vorticity signature for it really shows this well. Most of the energy in the spin is basically straddling the coast down there of northern South America. I keep saying it, this is a very rare thing to see, something tracking across at this low of a latitude, but it is still early in the season, and the tropical waves aren't gaining that much latitude just yet. There's the vorticity signature of 95L. Fairly well organized, a pretty good amount of spin, but again, the lack of deep thunderstorm activity and the pretty strong upper level winds will keep this system in check as it approaches Texas. And we can see that represented here on the GFS. This is the 6Z run showing the 5,000 foot winds and the sea level pressure. Notice that nothing really jumps out as being very intense. You do see these tropical features moving through over the next 5 days without too much in the way of wind, but hopefully, as I said, some of these can bring some beneficial rains to areas that need it the most. It's going to be interesting, too, to see what happens with PTC number 2. If it becomes Bonnie and then crosses Central America into the Eastern Pacific, it would get a Pacific name, which would be Darby. So we'll worry about that when and if that happens. You guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. As always, thanks for tuning in and giving me a part of your day. This has been What's Up in the Tropics. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow morning.